Hey everybody, this is the weekly forecast commencing on Monday, January the 20th, 2025. This is a very active week. One of the reasons is on Sunday, yesterday, on the 19th, the sun left traditional, more pragmatic, serious Capricorn and is now in Aquarius for the next 4 weeks. Aquarius is more, looks to the future, it's more progressive, it's more open to new ideas and technology, where that Capricorn was more of that stay with the tried and the true and the tradition. So we have this background theme with the sun in Aquarius. We have a number of social interactions that's going to be happening this week. A lot of playfulness, maybe entertainment, going on vacations, making those kinds of plans. And there's going to be 3 significant moon void of courses. One on Monday into Tuesday, the next one on Thursday, the last one on Sunday. Remember, the moon void of course, it's like a mini Mercury in retrograde. It's when the moon is no longer making aspects to other planets in that sign, and not until it goes into the next sign and starts triggering other planets. So there's no activity. So if you start a new venture, a new job, a new project with the moon void of course, the energy is flat. It's unproductive. It's good for staying the course. You don't have to stop everything, but it's best not to introduce anything new, especially anything that's important. So that's the moon void of course. Now, before I break all that down into the details, the timing, the days, and there's a lot of really positive social activity going on. But before I break all that down, if you enjoy these kinds of videos and would like to see more of them, click like and subscribe. And don't forget to click on the notification bell so you can receive the latest postings. So, all right, let's start with Monday on the 20th, the beginning, traditionally, a new work week. So the sun's in Aquarius, so we're looking more to the future, not so worried about the past. And the moon, which represents the public tone, the overall public reactions, it's in Libra. Libra is very cooperative, it's very sociable, it's the mediator. But the moon in Libra is going to be squaring or in tension with communication rational Mercury around mid-morning Pacific time. The moon is subjective. Mercury is objective. When they're in tension with each other, communications could be very much influenced by your preconceived, belief systems. Your biases could come up. So communications, whether it's business, personal, you're not really expressing yourself clearly, or you're not hearing clearly what the other person is saying. Then at 8:35 p.m. on the 20th, Pacific time, the moon in Libra goes void of course. And it remains void of course into Tuesday, the 21st, at 8:21 a.m., at which point the moon goes into Scorpio. Scorpio and Libra is so different. There's more of a tendency for the public to be much more cooperative when the moon is Libra, and certainly more sociable. When the moon is in Scorpio, it tends to be more private, more introspective, and not really caring about people pleasing. Now, the sun will be in Aquarius, will be aligning with transformational, intense, compulsive Pluto. Pluto is also the planet associated with Scorpio. So here we have the moon as Scorpio. for those next 2.5 days. So there's all this intensity, and now the sun is putting a spotlight on Pluto. So there's a lot of this intense drive. Now, the positive, always, how can we make this energy productive? With the moon in Scorpio, ruled by Pluto, the sun putting a spotlight on Pluto. Pluto rules the underworld. That can be very favorable for anything studying, getting involved with psychology, with astrology, with the occult. All of that's under the domain of Pluto and Scorpio. But this could be very favorable for doing a lot of investigative work, research work, or just wanting to be left alone and do a tremendous amount of deep introspection, which may go hand in hand with seeking out a therapist, psychologist, etc. However, the moon in Scorpio will be in a hard angle to that sun Pluto around noon, 1 p.m. Pacific time. So emotionally, that's that moon in Scorpio, in a hard angle to the sun in Pluto, there is this, for an hour or two, it is wanting to, for the general public, to be much more introspective, much more private. But on a mundane level, you could be more prone to having power struggles. You're right, they're wrong, and nobody's budging. But it only lasts an hour or two. Wednesday, the moon's continuing in that passionate Scorpio, but it's going to be trining the best flow of energy to Probatic Saturn, because the Saturn's in Pisces, a water sign, and Scorpio is a water sign. So they'll be in harmony. This will be happening late afternoon Pacific time. So we would interpret this in many ways. One is emotionally, for the general public tone, with Saturn, is feeling more grounded, more mature, more responsible. Good for business, good for just feeling more grounded and secure. On Thursday, the moon continues in Scorpio because it goes from sign to sign every 2.5 days. But here we have discerning, rational Mercury all day, trining or in harmony with progressive Uranus. Mercury, the mind, excellent with Uranus. You're open to new ideas, thinking out of the box, lots of original thinking. Uranus can rule advancement in technology, so you're more open to it, or you're less afraid of it. You might get much more involved with software and technology. However, at the same time, Mercury is excellent with progressive Uranus. It's in a confrontation to Mars, angry, impatient, irritable Mars that's retrograde, that makes it even more frustrated. So I think, and then the moon in Scorpio is you know what you know and you're not budging, right? So here's the Mercury, that rational Mercury, excellent with Uranus, and you could be coming up, you could be inspired with all these new ideas. But when you're trying to interact with others, that's the opposition to Mars, when you're trying to get excited and discuss these progressive new ideas, you're going to get a pushback with the Mars in retrograde. And in other words, the other person will be, you're out, you know, you're going too over the top, you're not thinking rationally, and then that could trigger you getting an argument trying to convince the other person of all these new ideas. And with Scorpio, you lock horns. So best is not to engage with others, best not to try to convince others that you're right and they're wrong. It is best to just be alone, do your own psychic homework, study, research, ponder these progressive new ideas, don't bother with trying to convince others with your new ways of thinking. And the moon in Scorpio will go void of course on that Thursday at 4:04 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon leaves that private, secretive, heavy Scorpio into light-hearted, playful, adventurous Sagittarius. On Friday, the moon in Sagittarius will be in harmony with the Aquarius sun. Now this is around 6 to 7 a.m. Pacific time where it's really strong. So people on the West Coast may all still be slowly waking up, still asleep, but your sleep would be more comfortable. But for the other people who are awake, and it's Friday, and maybe wrapping up projects for the week, when the moon is in harmony with the sun, everything seems a little bit more effortless. And with Sag, more optimistic, taking more chances. Now the moon in Sag will be interacting with Jupiter early evening Pacific time. Jupiter is that planet of expansiveness, abundance, travel, optimism, and Jupiter is the planet associated with the sign Sagittarius. So to have the moon in Sag, ruled by Jupiter, interacting with Jupiter, early evening Pacific time, there's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm, optimism on a much more individual, personal level. And it's going into Friday evening, the beginning of the weekend. With Sag and Jupiter, you may be taking a trip for the weekend or socializing and being so much more outgoing and friendly. That early evening, you could be really thinking and making long-range plans and travel plans and educational plans. That's all under the domain of Jupiter. Saturday, the pleasure-seeking, loving, cooperative Venus will be in harmony with assertive Mars, but it's retrograde. But this can be very favorable because of the Venus influence, because when the retrograde Mars is being supported favorably, you're able to reflect on your past actions, and with Venus, you're more open to forgiveness. Now it could be creative projects that you can go back and get more in line with it, feel more better about it, or romantically, or even just with friendships, you could be, you're really open to forgiveness. But around 5, 6 a.m. Pacific time, that moon in Sagittarius will be squaring or blocked by restricted Saturn. So only like an hour or two, 5, 6 a.m. Pacific time, you might be feeling emotionally worried, tired, isolated. But then as that moves on and pleasurable Venus is in harmony with Mars, you could be starting with a slump and then becoming much more outgoing and extroverted and sociable for the rest of the day. Sunday, the moon in adventurous Sagittarius goes void of course, 1:40 a.m. to 5:43 a.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon leaves spontaneous, adventurous, outgoing Sagittarius. Sagittarius is a fire sign. Fire is all that fired up and inspirational energies, and goes into Capricorn. And Capricorn is ruled by serious, pragmatic Saturn. Moon in Capricorn is good for getting all your affairs in order and organized, maybe getting ready for important projects for the new work week coming up. And discerning Mercury, decision-making Mercury, all day will be in harmony with Neptune. Mercury-Neptune is empathetic, it's creative, it's idealistic, it's visionary. Venus, creative, loving, cooperative Venus, will also be in harmony with Uranus. Uranus can represent friendships and group activities. So with Venus, which is very sociable, positive with the Uranus, you could be attending very sociable networking events with a large group of friends, expanding your social circle. But this could also be some creative breakthroughs, new creative insights. That's Venus-Uranus, the insights. And the Mercury-Neptune can be very imaginative and very visionary. So in many ways, this is a very favorable week for a lot of activities to really be jump-starting into the new year. I want to thank you for watching. If you like information on how to book an astrology reading or to check out my 2-question offer, visit my website at gardino.co. That's .co. Until next week, be safe and well.